What is up, gamers? Me and 50 Cards doing a drop of set 3 decks. They'll be basically complete other than some like super expensive cards, but you can get the core engines from these and you can purchase these decks on his website at this date and time. So to start, we have Sacrifice Glass. So Glass is all about generating energy and surviving throughout the game until you get access to Grand Dogma being able to restand on your 5th turn. You have Glass that will energy charge every time an opponent's rearguard or guardian is retired, and then it will superior ride into Grand Dogma at the end of its battle. And then Grand Dogma can also retire things whenever it attacks, and then ride back to Glass at the end of your turn. But if you bound Grand Dogma 2 times, then it will also be able to restand. Now, for an energy payout in this deck, it's primarily Glass's Energy Blast 4 skill and Medulla, which at the end of your turn you can Energy Blast 5 to draw a card. But it can also let you play Sweet Bait from your drop zone. Sweet Bait has 2 different abilities. It can force the opponent to call 3 cards, and then you draw a card for every 3 rearguards between you and your opponent, prevent them from being able to move into Guardian Circle. But if you're on Grand Dogma, then it's additional copies of Persona Ride and lets you shuffle 4 cards back into your deck. Now, this deck normally would want to play some pretty expensive cards like Tizcar and Forkalore, but we're gonna lower the price of it by playing the Devil package. So whenever you play the grade 1, you can search top 5, any of the Curiel Realm units. The grade 2, whenever it's rested by a grade 3 effect, you can count +1 to stand it, and whenever it stands by a card's ability, it gets +5k for the turn. And then the grade 3, whenever it attacks, and it's boosted by the grade 1, you can rest the grade 2 to soul charge and gain +10k and a crit for the battle. So this package gives a lot more power to the rearguard slots, and you also have the ability to tutor into more rearguards from your grade 1. You could also play the boost order package because it works really well in tandem with Musi, since Musi will gain +10k every time Grand Dogma attacks. Next up is Undercover. Undercover is all about playing Monitor Trist and then putting units in them as undercover gauges and then having access to them later on. So our main grade 3 is Mordalion, which can Energy Blast 2 and look at top 7 and put a gauge under all of your Monitor Trist without any. And then on attack, you can call 2 of your undercover gauges into play in the same column. It can also give power to your front row once you have 3 Monitor Trists in play. We also have the primary rearguard Obscudade, which can call itself from gauge into the back row center. And if your Vanguard's a grade 3 or higher undercover, then it can attack from back row center and gets +10k. And then whenever it attacks from back row center and the opponent is a grade 3 or higher, you can Soul Blast 1 and it can perform drive checks with drive -1. And then it goes to the bottom of the deck at the end of the battle. So between these 2 cards, you're going to get 3 drive checks and 5 attacks during each of your turns. In order to make it more consistent, we are playing Deva, which is the only expensive card in this deck. Deva lets you search for Undercover or Shadow Paladin units from your top 5, and is also a 20k attacker. Now, normally you'd want to play the Shadow Paladin Perfect Guard, but those are expensive, so we're just playing normal ones instead. And then for our other Undercover units, we have Zoe, which is base 18k and can't be retired by the opponent's effects. Tigress, which can bounce itself at the end of battle boost and gets 10k shield whenever you guard with it. And then we have 3 more of the grade 1 in the ride line, which is just a 10k body. Next up is Sho DOI. So Doji is actually the one deck in the set I did cover in a how to play video. So if you want to know more about Sho DOI, check out that video there. But this build essentially keeps all the new powerhouses from the newest set, so like Ogijishi, Kinrin, and the new Sho DOI, and focuses more on defense since there isn't any Tsukuyo Dachi in here. So Doji can bind 3 cards from your soul, and then whenever it attacks or is attacked, you can put 2 of your rearguards in the soul to call 2 stealth units. Our primary rearguard is Ogijishi, which can search top 5 and put a stealth unit in the soul, and then if the opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or higher, gets +5k for the turn. But the scary effect is whenever it goes in the soul from battle phase, and be able to have a +5k power boost to your front row. So we can put this into soul from Sho DOI or through Kinrin, which Kinrin will be able to recycle our Persona Rides or our grade 2 units, and then be able to also proc Ogijishi. We also have Gunjoku as a good call target, since it can be a 20k beater, but also threatens an on hit to let Sho DOI draw cards. Next up is Arite. Arite is all about searching out and sending monsters into your order zone, and then gaining bonus effects based off of it. So Arite got a new form where it can put 3 monsters from drop in the order zone. It can also send a monster from your order zone to the bottom of the deck in order to give a monster you call it the same name plus 10k power. And then on attack, you can call 2 monsters with different names from your order zone. The best rearguard in this deck is Savoid, which can call itself from order zone, but also be able to add any card that isn't a sentinel from your order zone to your hand. So you're able to recycle any monsters, and Arite has monster in its name, so you can recycle Persona Rides with this as well. Our big beaters are Ray Virus, which can minus 5k the opponent's Vanguard and also be a 23k 2-crit attacker, and then also can't be targeted by card effects. There's Relum Gara, which is a 15k beater and then retires itself to draw a card. You can cycle back through Arite. And then there's Ray Select, which can be a 13k attacker or booster, which retires itself at the end of battle. Between all of this, Arite has a ton of ways to have pretty beefy attacking rearguards, and then can also consistently reuse Persona Rides each turn. It plays around the order Torrential Energy Research, which can reveal top 5, which can find 2 monsters, putting 1 in the hand and 1 in the drop, and then you can also rest it from your order zone to put a monster from your drop to order zone. And because of this, we can also find Perfect Guards, which there is a monster Perfect Guard in this nation. Next up is Dayusha. Whenever Dayusha attacks and the opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or higher, you give any of your different named dimensional robos plus 5k power for the turn. And then at the end of the battle, you can put a card from hand into soul to restand with drive -2. But once per game, you can bind a Go-Yusha to give it +1 drive. So for our dimensional robos, we have Dai Lady, which can search for a base card and is also a 20k beater. Dai Dragon, which is a 15k beater but can also be a 15k shield. Dai Mariner, which is a 10k beater and prevents intercepting. Dai Battles, which makes Dayusha 2-crit, but can also superior ride Dayusha if the opponent is grade 2 or higher. And to put it all together, we have Dai Base, which can put a dimensional robo from your drop into soul other than the turn it's played. You can search your deck instead, and it energy charges 1. Or you can energy blast 2 to call a grade 2 or less dimensional robo from your soul. So because we are resting Dai Base every single turn, and we're able to tutor them out through Dai Lady, we're also playing the Blitz Order Freezing Wave, which gets 10k shield for every set order you have rested. And then we're also playing Nebula, which can search for those, but also just be a really nice beat stick for the deck. And then lastly is Shoahha, which is built around Codex orders. Shoahha allows you to play 2 Codex orders a turn, and they give floodgate effects to your opponent. So the first one you play is the Principles of Non-Self, which allows you to revive a card from your drop zone with plus 5k power. And then that card also has the effect that whenever it stands, it gains +1 crit. And then your second order is the Principles of Unsatisfactoriness, which makes the opponent's Vanguard have -3k power, so it becomes base 10k. And if you've played another Codex this turn, you get to draw a card, and your opponent's Vanguard will also have -1 drive next turn. So our ride line is able to search for these Codex orders, and we also have Vivartika, which can search for a Codex order from our top 7, and we have Chloroforus that searches from top 7. And then we also have a bit of an aggro package in this deck through Burrow Mushrooms and Yolanda. Mushrooms will be able to call 2 tokens, and then Yolanda can retire those tokens in order to draw and get plus 10k power. And that is it. Again, these decks will be on 50 Cards' website, and buying from there also supports me personally. So thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. I'll see you guys in the next one.